Hi guys, how are you? If you are new, my name is Clara and I'm the owner of this channel, The Ink Path, where I talk about books in English and in Spanish. I'm a Spanish booktuber, but a few years ago when I opened this place, I decided that I would do a bilingual channel so you can select which video do you want to watch. I normally post 2 videos weekly with the same content more or less, so you can choose either to watch it in Spanish or in English. In this case, my first video of the year, of this new academic year, is actually a book tag, and is the Cousy Autumn Book Tag, which was created um, by Lucy from the Book Bell. I'm checking it on the computer. I was tagged by a Spanish booktuber called Mikey. I will link the original tag created by Lucy and also Mikey's tag, so you can actually check which videos I'm referring to. Mikey's tag is a translation of Lucy's tag, so the Spanish people could actually do it as well. Having said that, I leave you all the details down below, as well as my wish list and things like that, so you can actually find me or check what books I'm looking for. Let's start. And of course, the first video I wanted to do is an autumn tag. I love autumn and I always like to do this kind of games regarding the season. So let's start. I'm going to cheat a little bit, and because there are a few questions, I decided to leave open my computer and have the questions on my side so I can actually read them to you. So if you see me looking this way, it's because the computer is here and I'm checking the questions and the answers. The first question says, what book always reminds you of autumn? My pick for this question is actually The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. I read this book, I think at the beginning, or at least within the first year of creating this channel, and even though it's a book that happens throughout several years, so it's not only focused on the autumn season, on the autumn season, I always picture this story with autumnal light and colors. This is the story of Ava Lavender, a girl who is born with wings, but this is also the story of her mother and her grandmother, because in fact this story starts with the grandmother and we continue it on within the generations. So you have the whole family of women in this house, in this tiny village, in this tiny town. I adore this book. It's very whimsical and it's very well written. It's very kind of evocative at some point, and it's borderlining, for my taste, it's borderlining magical realism. I don't know why this book is considered a YA book, because I wouldn't catalog it as such, because of some themes that they are treated, which are very kind of hot. However, if I have to place it in between, I would say it's a bridge book. It's a book where the young adult who is more used to or is starting to read adult books is a kind of mix between the both. So it's a bridge kind of book between the two categories. I will link down below the review to said book, and if I can, I will leave tags on the screen. The second question is, what's your favorite autumnal book cover? And for this, I'm going to go with a book that I haven't read yet, which is a recent acquisition of this year, which is The Binding by Bridget, I'm hoping I'm saying right, Collins. This is a fantasy story, I believe, about a boy or a young man who enters into an apprenticeship to become a writer, because in this world people can collect their memories, the memories that they don't want, they can put them into books so you forget them, but they are placed in books. And I think he discovers one book that has something to do with him, but I'm not sure how. This is one of the books that I've been recommended by the people in Twitter, and I think it has a very autumnal covers with the leaves and the gold and the golden details and everything. I will post a cover of the book because I have it there. That's why I'm looking so much to that place, but I cannot reach it because the wheelchair doesn't allow me. So I'm going to post the cover so it's easier for you to see. The next question is, what is your favorite drink to read with? This is tricky. I love the pumpkin spice latte, however, because of the coronavirus, I am not allowed to leave the house unless it's very, very kind of important things like going shopping for food or going to the doctors. I'm healthy, I'm fine, but in our region of Spain, I'm Spanish. That was kind of a decision that the government did, or the not the government, but the regional government did. So because I cannot go to Starbucks to get a pumpkin spice latte, I normally drink a lot of tea. I love tea and I love spiced tea. I normally drink not only in autumn, but autumn is perfectly the perfect season for that. I normally drink black tea with milk and cinnamon and ginger, so it's very kind of spicy and rich, and I love it. Next question. Do you prefer to read late at night or early in the morning? Late at night. Why? I normally I am very a grumpy person in the morning. I normally need to stay a couple of hours up to be functioning, to actually being able to talk without being grumpy. So being an early reader is not something I normally do. So my actually what I prefer to do is reading after having dinner if I don't have a TV show that I'm watching, or if I can, which is more likely for me to do, is to go to bed early or more or less early and listen to an audiobook while I'm in bed. So sometimes I go to properly going to sleep way past my assigned time because I stay up listening to audiobooks. So I prefer to read late at night. Yes, what else? 5. The fifth question is, Halloween is coming. What is your favorite spooky read? I have several spooky reads that I love. I love The Turning of the Screw by Henry James. I love We Always Live in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. But I think my favorite is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which is not very spooky in my point of view. It's more sad and tragic than spooky, but I take it as a gothic horror story, which is what it was supposed to be. So that's why it's there in the horror section for me. I love it, and if you haven't read such classic, I envy you because I would love to read it for the first time. There are a few adaptations in theatre that maybe you can actually find DVDs of, and there are also a few audiobooks that were really well done. And I don't know, I adore this story. I have read it once, and I cannot wait to do it again, to reread it. The next question says, what is your ultimate comfort read for you? My comfort read in autumn and any other season is actually Little Women. Little Women is the first book that make me think about writers and about the idea of being a writer, which is something I daydream a lot about. Little Women is written by Louisa May Alcott and is a YA classic that deals with the life of four sisters who are at the beginning of the story is struggling because North America is at war, so they have to stay at home and help her mother, sorry. But with this story, you see them grow and you grow with them. It's a classic, so a few of the themes are a little bit outdated if we look at from our modern point of view. However, it has the most influential character, in my opinion, to young girls who love reading like me, who is Joe Batch. I thank Louisa May Alcott for having Joe created. It's my favorite book, and I always go to read it when I need comfort. So yeah, that's my comfort read. What is your favorite autumnal reading snack? I don't have any specific autumnal reading snack. I would either pick chocolate or nuts. And if the chocolate has nuts, it's even better. I don't know. Normally, that's what I tend to eat if I'm reading. Although I don't like reading while eating because I am not very I don't feel comfortable like getting my books very dirty. But if I have to pick, I will pick chocolates or nuts, or chocolate with nuts, which is even better, as I said before. The next question says, what's your favorite autumnal candle to burn whilst you are reading? I don't have a lot of candles for myself, but I normally lit up the one that I have here, which is a vanilla candle. I am looking for other kind of scents, but the vanilla candle is actually my pick every single time. Next question. When you're not reading, what is your favorite autumnal activity? I love going for a stroll. I love when it's raining. I love going out with umbrella and having a walk. I love going into bookshops because normally when it's autumn and it's cold and windy, I normally look for bookshops to seek refuge, and that normally ends with me having two bags full of books that I will probably not be picking up until next year or the year after that. But I love that. I also love watching films, like my comfort films, and I love meeting friends and doing this kind of girls' night out at home. So it's more of a sleepover if you want to see it that way. Lastly, what's on your autumn or fall reading list? This is tricky. I have a lot of books for my autumnal reading list. The first one is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I had an arc from NetGalley, and I have to finish it before the book is released. And I'm not very good at the moment. I have to push through it. And I also want to read the following two books that NetGalley gave me arcs as well. I still have to download them, but I will do it very soon. These two arcs that NetGalley borrow or lent me are Paris by Starlight by Robert Dinsdale and These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. From the Spanish point of view, I have to finish reading La Segunda Revolución, Ellos y Nosotros by Costa Alcalá, which is a steampunk sci-fi with a lot of political intrigues, which I'm loving it so far, but I have to stop because I am reading the NetGalley book that I mentioned at the beginning of this question, and I just I borrowed from the library an audiobook of Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson, following the advice or the recommendation of Victoria Schwab. Victoria Schwab did a kind of Instagram video talking about books that deal with racial injustice or that are related to the Black Lives Matter in some point, and she pointed out that she loved this book, that she believes is a very important YA book that deals with a lot of hard or heavy themes and subjects. In fact, the audiobook has a trigger warning at the very beginning, which is very helpful. But I want to finish it as well during the autumn. And lastly, I want to read or to complete the whole Grisaverse universe stories. I want to complete the Shadow and Bone trilogy and then read the Cross, the Kruger Kingdom, and the Six of Crows duology, because I want to be ready for the Netflix show, and I still have to reread the first one of the Shadow and Bone trilogy and continue onwards. It's going to be a tricky autumn because I have a lot of things to read. However, I am very, very pumped into reading this season because I love autumn, and I think it's the season in which I'm more open to reading more. I'm more awake and I'm more active. So I think it's a great season. This is it. This is the tag. If you are new here and you want to do it, of course you can do it. If you do that, if you actually do the tag, please don't forget to put the hashtag on Twitter that I'm going to be leaving on the title of this video, and also tag me if you post it on YouTube or your blog, because I want to actually being able to read it or to see it. And I personally want to tag Sam from Thoughts on Toms because I know that she loves autumn and I believe she will love this tag. See you next week, okay? Bye!